Welcome to today's podcast episode on MonicaAnn. I'm your host, MonicaAnn. If you have not done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a podcast episode.
My name is Mary Mao, M-A-U, and I am a survivor of sex trafficking, and I'm an advocate, and I've traveled third world countries and schools and so many places trying to help our situation, this terrible, devastating situation that we have as sex trafficking. That's what I do.
Wow. And so you were sex trafficked.
I absolutely was.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, when did it start? And then, kind of what that looked like.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go into like graphic detail or
No,
anything.
that's fine. That's what I'm here for. It's all good. So before I'm going to give you a little bit of background real quick, so from 1 years old to 13. Well, I would say from 5 years old to 11 years old. What I remember is, so we grew up. There was I had four siblings. We grew up in a family, a very broken home, many different fathers, and then we wound up with a Italian so-called mafia father. And so I had seen way more crazy, violent stuff before I was even trafficked. And so, but when I was 13, so my mother was with this guy for like 6 years. She wound up committing suicide. So in my heart, in my eyes, that was the worst thing I could ever see. People ask me, how did you survive everything that I've survived after the fact? And I need to let people know I seen the worst thing you can possibly see, and that was the death of my mother, and I seen it, and that was just not for a child to see. So I was 13 years old, and then from 13 to 14, I just was kind of like a little runaway. I was from couch to couch to couch, and I was definitely a target. And I don't know that. I don't even have to think as a child, right? And I was living from place to place, and right before I got targeted, I had been raped by three guys at one time. And my whole school found out about it. So here's one thing: I got raped, and all this craziness happened to me. But then the whole school found out about it, and I'm an adolescent at the time. So in my heart, I'm ashamed, which I don't know no better. It's not my fault this happened to me. So I'm embarrassed, ashamed. And I remember I was still kind of living from place to place, and this tall, dark fellow, handsome young man, he seen me and he knew. And he was very kind to me and very sweet and very nice, which I had never received even from my own family growing up. And I'm getting all this attention and buying me clothes and taking me. He was grooming me, but I don't know that's called grooming. I have no idea, right? All I know is I have this hero coming to help me. Woohoo, right? Not.
Yeah.
In my heart and in my eyes, I clung I went from my mother's situation straight to him. And I figured whatever it is, it can't be no worse than my mother's situation. I still had no idea what it was. I was just going with it. And he took me to 42nd Street in New York City in 1974, 75. I was a child. First time I got arrested, I wound up being in Rikers Island for 40 days. Had I told these people at the police or at the police station or at Rikers Island I was a child, they would have let me go. But I feared this guy at the time. He was 6'8". He was huge. He was a giant to me. And so I feared that more than that. So I'm in jail for 40 days now. So had thought about that, I'm going to go run back home and be a regular girl again. Now I have more stuff on me. I've been in the streets. I've been arrested. I've been in jail, and so on and so on. So it just it snowballed into so much more in that first year.
Yeah. Wow. And then how long were you in this situation?
I was in my situation from 74, 75 until 2013. That's a long time. It took Moses 40 years, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And
Oh
people
my
ask me,
goodness.
how did you do that? Monica, you got to let me remind you that when I was with this guy, I was never allowed to talk to anybody but a client. I was not allowed to have any friends. I was not allowed to have. He was supposed to be my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, all that. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody but a customer, and that went on for 10 years. So I'm already in this crazy mindset as a child. Now I'm brainwashed for 10 years. So no matter what it is, in my heart and my brain, this is all I knew. Whatever it was safe to me because it's what I knew. Like, you don't know you're in the ghetto until you leave the ghetto, So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I
really don't know.
actually,
Yeah,
I can relate. I was not sex trafficked, but
hmm,
I did go through sexual abuse.
right.
I went through domestic violence. I
Yeah,
came from a broken home.
yeah.
And so I do relate to your testimony very much. And I know that a lot of people, that are on the outside, a lot of people will, make that comment and say,
Right.
well, didn't their mother teach them or didn't da da da? And you're like, no, I didn't come from that household.
No,
That's not what
what
I
is
came
that?
from.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She
You have
she
to,
no, I did. I was taking care of my sister, my older sister, and I were taking care of our baby sisters. We were we were children taking care of children. My mother was never around. She was mentally ill, but we didn't understand that as a child. My older sister, she understood it, but I didn't understand it. I just recently figured out a lot of stuff just in these past few years. My older sister was too kind of messed her up, and I didn't understand why she hated my mother so much. And then I found all these stories, and it broke my heart. You know, and with this, I have to tell you, in this book and all that, or in life, how come I'm sitting here and be able to talk to you? It's because I finally forgave. I forgave, like for the first year that I was going to church. Oh, I was there. I was sitting in the back and I was, talking to God and meeting new people. And there was something missing though. I had never forgiven my mother. I had forgiven the bad customers, the girls that worked with me that was supposed to have my back that were trying to really kill me. I forgave them. I forgave the bad cops. I forgave the pimps. I forgave all the beatings and stabbings and crap I went through, but I had not forgiven my mother. The moment I forgave my mother, I was free. I didn't know that. I guess it was something I had to go through. So it took me a whole year before that. And once I forgave, I was in the front of the row of the seat in the church. No, you just get away from me. I just want to hang out with God. Everybody leave me alone right now. And I've been on fire ever since. So my church was sending me like to Cambodia, Philippines and stuff. They were going to send me to Africa, but I wound up leaving and moving. But I mean, I'm being used. At the end of the day, I was always a server, but I was serving the wrong kind of people.
yeah, one of the best things that I ever heard was at a retreat, a religious retreat that I
Mhm.
went to back in 2007. And the entire theme of this women's retreat, we went to a hot springs in Palm Springs, California. And it was abundance, and that God wants everybody, all of his followers, to live an abundant life.
Mhm.
I was sitting there going through the thick of my life at that time thinking, well,
Mhm.
what about me? What do you mean?
Right, right,
You know,
right,
I'm
right.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm still in the trenches. And one
Yeah.
of the things that she said was, "You have to know better to do better."
Mm.
And that saying really clicked for me. And
Mhm.
just like you were saying, is you didn't know any better.
Mhm.
You would come from this broken home. You were
Mhm.
not taught these things from your parents. And so then you go into this cycle
Mm.
of life where you're living by trial and error, right?
Fight or flight all my life. That's what I lived
Yeah.
for 4 decades. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it is difficult for other people who didn't live their lives that way to kind of look at your situation and feel any kind of, I don't want to say sympathy because that's not what we want from
No.
people, but understanding, right? An understanding of why you went through that and
Right.
why you went through it so long.
Yeah.
So let's talk, if you can tell me like a little bit of like, how did you actually get out of that situation?
Okay. So, mind you, I was in that life 38 years. My mother was never a real mother to me. Like, she never even told me she loved me one time. And that's okay. Now that she was just not okay and she was not right. But she had a best friend named Linda. So we called her Nana or Auntie Lynn. I used to call her Nana. She was more my mom than my mother was. So after she had passed away, well, even before that, she was just always around, always trying to help my mom. And she was a Christian, and she knew I was doing wrong. She didn't know exactly what it was. I lived in Hawaii, she lived in New York, and out of sight, out of mind. I don't know, but we talked all the time. I came and visited them. But a few weeks before she passed away, she had called me and we talked. She says, "Hey, I need to see you in heaven. You need to get your life together." And right around that time, I was having a nervous breakdown. I had finally I had lost it, and it wasn't from drugs or pimps or customers. And I was honestly, my dear, I was dying from a broken heart, and I didn't know what to do. And I was from the streets, and I didn't know how to get help. And I was in my house for 2 years in darkness. I had shutters in my house. I would close them down. And what was keeping me alive, I purposely kept getting pets. I kept getting pets because I knew they were going to need me and I couldn't die. So my daughter wasn't around. My granddaughter was. They were in another town. So out of sight, out of mind. It's just true what you go through when you're going through depression or a breakdown. So I'm collecting seen all these pets, so I know I have to live to take care of these pets. So I'm basically making enough money to go out there and take care of my animals. Thank goodness I taught them how to go pee on a pillow bed, right? So I would feed my animals, take care of my animals, but I was down to about 90 pounds. I was dying. I was just withering away. And I got on my knees. I got on my knees crying to Jesus, begging Jesus, please help me. What do I do? Where am I going to go? I don't trust the police. I don't trust these girls because they're going to just try to bring me home to their man. I can't trust a customer because I'm just a hooker to them. They just want something from me. Who am I going to trust? And he told me, get your butt up, get down to the nearest clinic, whoever you can go and walk and go talk to somebody. Get out of the house or you're going to die. And that's what I did. And I walked to the nearest clinic. It was about 10 blocks away. Me and my little dog. My dog went everywhere with me. And I walked to the clinic. And I tell you, talk about a slow progress. Because all I knew was them streets. I'm talking about from the 70s streets, New York City, crazy fucking ghetto streets that I survived. So many wounds that I've had physically and mentally. And even through all of them, Monica, I knew God was with me all the time in situations where it was me or that person. God was with me when he saved my life, when I've been stabbed, when I've been choked out, or where I've been left to die, or whatever it might have been. I know God was with me, you know. I didn't know how to accept him. I just didn't know about all I knew was them streets, you know. But
Yes. So you
he
really, up to that point, like you didn't really, have like a relationship with God, but that was
no.
something like
All my
instinctively
life, I was,
inside of
even
you.
since a little kid, because all the shit, excuse me, all the shit I had been through, there's no reason why am I still alive here? I had girls that were supposed to be my partners, supposed to be my pimp's girls as well, stab me and trying to stab me in the heart and try to kill me, left me in the subway to die. I've had just bad customers. I've had so much stuff happen to me, my dear. And literally, when I got stabbed in the main artery in my arm, I was dying from losing all this blood. And I passed out and nobody come down to help me. And the thing was closed. I was in a stairwell. I woke up. God woke me up. God got me out of that stairwell. God got me. Then I tried to get a taxi. Nobody would stop. They didn't want no blood in their cab. Guess what? One of the craziest cops in New York City, called Mad Dog at the time, he stopped his car. He got me in his car and got me to the hospital just in time. I mean, there's been so many situations. I'm going to tell you another one. It's an amazing one. It's in the book. I was 24 years old. I was dying. I was dying because I told my pimp, if you don't stop taking drugs, I'm going to stop eating. He's like, well, he ignored me. So ignore me, months later, I don't know, it might have been a year later. I have no idea. I was down to 100 pounds. I didn't realize not eating. I want to be in bulimic anorexic. So I'm in the hospital having seizures. One of the girls that are with me, he tells her, I'll just take that bitch to the hospital, whatever. So she takes me to the hospital. I couldn't have any children because my insides were so messed up from having turning tricks or having customers, whatever, as a child. I was all messed up down there. I couldn't have any children. A young lady, my best friend, whispers in my ear. She says, hey, they used to call me Maria. Maria, I have something for you to live for. She said, I have a baby in my stomach. I will give her to you. You have got to eat some food. She knew that was God again. So she went into the hospital under my name. I wore a pillow for 9 months. Nobody knew. She literally gave me her child the day after she had her. And guess what I named my daughter? Christian. Boy or girl, her name is Christian. She saved my life. And then there's a whole bunch more to that in between all that. She just passed away a couple months ago. I just said my goodbyes to her, the biological mom. But yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I got
That is
that's.
incredible.
Am I talking
You
too
know,
much? Am I doing?
no,
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 okay, because I'll
absolutely not.
ramble.
No, this is your time,
Okay.
and people definitely need to hear your testimony.
All
I
it's just
think,
they need to know that I'm safe. I'm good. There's hope after all that crap they're through. I'm living.
yeah,
I'm a living. This is me, and I'm only telling you bits and little increments of stuff that I've been through.
yeah.
Yeah, God is good. You know.
Absolutely. I do. I think that that's such a great testimony that like you didn't even have like you didn't grow up in a religious household. You didn't have a
Mm-mm.
relationship
No.
with God. But as you're going through this,
Hmm.
where
I knew.
a lot of people would lose faith,
No.
right? Because they'd say, "Oh, I'm going through all this
Mm.
horrible stuff."
Yeah.
You didn't. You actually instinctively
I
were
rebelled.
talking to
Yes.
God.
Yep. And you know what, too,
Wow.
my dear, a lot of it is, and I must tell you, is that my people ask me also is my mother's weakness. whether she was mentally ill or whether she just didn't care or whatever it might have been, her weakness made me strong. I refuse to be anything like that. I treat people like it's a whole nother book. So I'm writing another book on body dysphoria. I've had over 22 surgeries just trying to, I'm not pretty enough or I'm not this enough. I mean, so that's a whole nother book on dysphoria and another book on suicide, survivors of suicide of, the kids that you leave behind or. So God is using me. He's using me in
Yes.
however I can, but at the end of the day, Monica, I want people to know that they can get past anything. If
Yep,
grandma can get
100%.
through all this, you can get through it. You just, and let me tell you how I have ADHD too. So how I wound up getting to the church in the first place, right? We
Yeah.
did. So in Waikiki in Hawaii, they used to have these church folks that used to come out there to the streets, and they would have these bags of little goodies, candy, chips, or something, some condoms, or whatever, whatever might help put a smile on the girls out there, right? And so I'd say there'd be about 5 to 7 of these ladies coming from the church, and they're very square, right, compared to street people. You know what that means, right? Square.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were so square. And so imagine them coming out there. And I speak Japanese fluently. I speak Japanese and I speak Spanish. I was blessed. That's a whole nother story too. And so there was this one little older Japanese lady, and she used to come out there, and I always respect my elders, right? And she knew I spoke Japanese fluently, and so she's always try to come near me and talk to me. And me, I'm in the streets. I don't want to be bothered at anybody, and especially where I was at mentally. This is when I was going through my depression or whatever. And she'd come by. I'm like, oh, I see her. I just kind of run. When my nana passed away, after I just talked to her, she says, remember I said, she died 2 weeks later. When she passed away, I lost my mind. I was still going out there in the streets, and I seen the little Japanese lady, and I hugged her and I whispered in her ear, I'm like, hey, don't you give up on me. I need you. Just be around. So it took her almost another year. And that's when I wound up going to church with her. So that's how it started. A little tiny little Japanese. They're called the Red Light Angels. And the church I was
Oh.
going to was First Presbyterian in Kailua, Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
They were sending me everywhere. And what was great is that these women that were abused or whatever they went through, even in foreign countries, third world countries, they wouldn't talk to a lot of people. They wouldn't talk to a lot of church people. God used me because I went there talking and they acted like they didn't speak English or whatever. I started telling my story, and then all of a sudden they opened up to me and they talked to me, and it was because they know I walked that walk. So
Yeah.
I was being used that way, and I was talking. It was amazing. So yeah.
Wow. And and so what year was that
That was
you went to church?
2013.
That was
Yeah,
2013. Okay.
2014, 2013, around then. Yeah, but I started writing my
Okay.
book in 2000. Oh no, I was 49, 1999. Is that right?
Wow.
I forget. Anyway, yeah. I started writing
Wow.
it when I was almost 50. I was still out there, and I didn't know how many triggers it was how it was gonna do me, right? So I'm out there writing all this stuff, and you write it, you got to look at it, right? And like, oh my God, so I went into more depression. Oh my gosh, it took me 14 years to write that book.
Yes, I actually went through that same sort of experience where when I started sharing my testimony, it
Yeah.
really triggered a
Yeah.
lot of that. People, they don't understand that.
Mhm.
A psychiatrist that I know was actually telling me that there's a technique that they have to use with children because they have to be really careful not to like resurface all of that trauma
Right.
again. So it's a certain way that they have to address, children who go through it. And I went through the exact same experience when I started sharing my life
Right.
testimony. You have to face it all, and you
Nobody
can,
can do that for it. You got to do it. Hello. That's
yeah.
right.
And a lot of people will like pull back because it's
Yeah.
so heavy.
It's too much.
But it's part of the process.
Yep.
It truly is, facing what you went through, being able to talk about it 100%. It's part of the process. And so many people don't want to do the work. They want to drink and
Yeah.
suppress the
Right.
emotions. They want
Yeah.
to take drugs to
I've
suppress the
tried it all. I've done
emotions.
everything. I mean, I haven't been no angel out there, but at the end of the day, all my friends were dying from drugs or in jail or. And My getaway was my drug, honestly, was so when all the girls, this is when I was a new girl, all the girls would go make their money. I would always go make, I never had a problem making money, but I'd go make my money and go to a Broadway show, go to the
Yeah.
theater, go to the theater. I had seen every Broadway show that was out there, like two, 3 times each one of them. So I was definitely into the theater. I did everything. I rebelled against the game, the life, and I did everything opposite. And I learned,
Yeah.
I did everything opposite,
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And once you went to the church, back in 2013, did you fall off
No, no,
from
no, no. Oh,
then
no,
to
no,
now?
no. Oh, no.
You
Full
fall
on. Then I got her own. So, cause I didn't even have a
Wow.
GED. That was all through God. I had I left school. I was eighth grade, ninth grade. I have no school education whatsoever. And the reason I speak Japanese, I'm going all over the place here. The reason I speak Japanese is because I had so many bad things happen to me and violent things happen to me as a new girl. And I had to learn. Nobody could tell. So I had to learn cultures. And then I had to figure out which culture. So I learned that the Asian were the easiest to deal with and less problems. And they're short. I'll kick their butt if they give me a hard time. I'm just being honest. So
Yeah.
sorry. Well, it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But so then I had to figure out, get it right now. Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. I don't realize Koreans will hurt you. They're mean. They're very aggressive. Talking about men anyway. And then the
Mm.
Chinese, it was just, the money wasn't all there. So then I learned the Japanese culture was very calm and very gentle and very, so I learned the language by ear. I just was blessed by ear because the Italian stepfather was such a racist that
Yeah.
I always wanted to learn languages. So I was just blessed by ear. Like I speak Spanish because my neighborhood was Hispanic growing up. But I dream in Japanese and I think in Japanese. It's so weird.
Wow,
Isn't
that
that
is
crazy?
so interesting.
I
Yeah, that is.
know. That's so weird. I can't write it. I can't write it, but yeah, I speak it.
Wow.
Well, I had to figure everything that I learned, I had to teach myself. Nobody taught me.
So, what does your life look like now?
So, well, I got married like 7 years ago. So this is what happened. So I was in Hawaii all that time. And then when I was doing all this traveling. So now as a mom, a lot of guilt stuff I'm going through. I want to get right with my daughter and live with her and, see how that works, right? Well, it didn't work out. She, just because I was healed and I was going through my stuff, she wasn't ready. And so we were living under the same house and it just wasn't working out. So I was headed back to Hawaii and I already got my old job back, the preschool teacher. I already called up. My girlfriend got a place for us where I was all ready, right? And before I go there, though, I want to go see one of my best friends. He used to be my driver. And he was from Hawaii, but he lived in Vegas now. He was taking care of his mom and dad. And so I heard that he was going blind or whatever, but I didn't know it was that serious. So I get to Vegas and I opened the taxi door and his arms are reached out like a blind person. He can't see at all. I'm in tears. My heart just breaks. My friend is totally blind. His family, he had no family. The only family he had in Vegas was his sister, and he had to kick her out. They didn't get along anymore. It was a bad situation. So here I'm looking at my friend in this empty place, and I'm in tears. And I call up in the next couple of days, I call everybody in Hawaii. I'm like, I'm not coming. I'm going to stay and help my friend. I'm thinking I'll be there a few months, maybe 6 months or whatever. I didn't know how sick and how bad it was. He sat me down, after about a month being there. He's like, hey, I need to talk to you. He said, there's no funny stuff. He said, there's no funny stuff. I've never been attracted to you. It's not like that. He's never tried to touch me, never disrespected me. He's like my big brother. He says, listen, he's basically let me know he wasn't going to be around much longer. And he wanted me to have his home, and then whatever his benefits. And he said, but the only way we can do that is if you marry me. I'm like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. You don't have to do all that. I got this. I got you. I love you. I can stay. I'll be here for you. No, 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 Mary. I wanted, please let me do this. So I fought with him back and forth. So that's what we wound up doing. So he was my best friend. Well, he passed away in
Oh.
August, 2 years. It'll be 2 years in August. So
Oh.
so when he left, he passed. It broke my heart. I hated Vegas. I never wanted to go there. It was one of the first places I was sent to. I was 15 when I was sent there. So I hated Vegas. I had so many bad memories, but it wound up being a good thing. I wound up doing a baby care center. I had pets all over the place. The house was full of things and love. And he passed away happy, right? But now I'm in
Yeah.
Vegas all by myself and I don't want to be there. So I sold the place and I needed to be with my sister back upstate New York. We've been separated for 50 years. It's time. My brother just passed. It's time to be home with family. And so I got a little mobile home here in upstate New York, and I bought an RV, and I have 14 pets.
Aw.
So that's
So it's just
so when I was
so
in
it's just
Vegas,
you and your pets now?
yes, so when I was in Vegas, I just kept collecting cats that were outside. I just kept bringing them in the house. I was so sad. I lost my husband. I just was so sad. It was taking too long for this house to sell, and I just kept bringing. So now I have 9 cats and 3 birds and 2 dogs.
I did see that the dog was playing
Oh,
behind you a little
girl,
bit
I have
ago.
so many
Yeah.
animals. My house is like a cattery. It's
Oh.
like a vet. So, but it fills my heart. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's one way that you,
it helps me
you
heal.
know yeah, exactly. That's the way that you help heal, and you're bringing animals
Oh yeah.
in,
They're
and
saving me,
caring
but I'm
for
saving
them.
them too. Yeah, we're saving each other. So I got to stick around
Yeah.
so I can be there. Here I am again, saving animals. So
But I love that. And so technically you're retired now then.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
You're no longer
no, wait. Hello. Hello. No, so so when I got here, I'm like, okay, I'm in New York now and I'm with my family and everything's all good, but I'm like twiddling my thumbs. So I'm like, okay. So when I was in Hawaii, I was working with the FBI. I mean, I had so many pulls there because I worked with cops for decades, and helping them. And so I come here to Little Buffalo. Nobody knows me. I'm pounding on the FBI building. They won't let me in. I'm talking through an intercom. I'm like, hi, I just wrote a book. I want to help you. They're just like, so I left them my number. And then I just started calling around and I found a place called PATH, People Against Trafficking Humans. And I volunteer twice a week there.
very cool.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing. It's working with domestic violence, girls that have been trafficked, child abuse, sex abuse, all that. It's an amazing setup. It's place is amazing for these girls. So I've been doing that for like 8 months.
That's very cool. So
Yeah.
you're volunteering and then you are an author, right? So you
Yes.
already have one book that is
Yes.
published, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the name of that book?
The name is called Tricked by Mary Mao. Stories of a surviving sex trafficked child, basically, because I was a child.
Yeah. And where can people
You can
purchase
get it
that
anywhere. You
copy?
can get it on Amazon, mostly on Amazon, but I think if you order it from like Barnes and Nobles or other places, they'll order it for you, but mostly on Amazon. Yeah.
Very cool.
But I'm
And
working
then
on my second one too, though. Sure.
and you said that that one's going to be about the suicide and
And
surviving children,
yeah, that one. And then the other one was going to be about body dysphoria.
body dysphoria. Okay. So you'll be working on those two books, and then those are both under your name, correct?
Yes, yes, Mary Mao.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people can look out for that in the future.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, and then can people follow you on social media?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What's your name of your platform?
Oh, so all I really have now is my Facebook. Is that okay?
Yeah. So you have Facebook, and then that's under
Under
the
under
Mary
Mary
Mouth.
Frances Mao. So Mary Frances Frances Mao MAU. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I
Any
really
questions?
appreciate
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I really appreciate you
Thank you, dear.
taking the time to share your testimony with people. I am all about helping other people.
I could see that. Thank you.
Yeah, with the pain that we experience and the different things that we're able to get through
Right.
with God. And I really want to, reiterate that with people. Your relationship with God
Oh,
is so important. And that's how you're able to get through these life
so much stuff.
situations.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I'm so glad to hear that, once you went into the church, that
Hmm.
you have been so
Oh,
strong with Jesus and you continue to be, and that you have been able to not only heal, but
mhm.
now you're able to help other people.
Oh, that's the whole main thing. Even if it's one child,
Yeah.
one person, one human.
Yeah.
I plan on being here for longer, a little longer. Whoever can help, it's all. I don't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People open my book and I go, "Oh my God, oh, whatever." At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's not about me, right? It's about helping
Yes,
that next person that needs to help. Bottom line, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And
Thank
I
you.
will get the links from you for the books and I'll put them in the video below so that people are able to purchase that.
All righty. Thank you so much, my dear. You stay
Thank
blessed.
you.